Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. The gunner site is back and we have three distinguished generals. One of them could not make it. General Raj Shukla is busy today, but he'll be back with us next Monday when we pick up the same series. Let's welcome General Harimohan Iyer and General Ravi Shankar. Namaskar, sir. How are you?
Namaskar and thanks a lot. We are fine. Happy Deepavali to everyone who's watching this podcast.
Happy Deepavali.
Yeah, but I can still hear crackers bursting all around my house, so it's still Deepavali.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Same here, sir.
Sir, that crackers are bursting around your house is not surprising. Crackers are bursting around my house. That is surprising. There are so many of us here, still celebrating Diwali. So, wish you all a happy Deepavali. I'm going to start today with General Harimohan Iyer. General Harimohan Iyer, we haven't really got your inputs on the ongoing US-India free trade agreement talks. Now, the numbers are beginning to settle down. Between 15 to 16% tariffs on Indian goods coming into the United States, plus the 25% on cess on Russian oil. Debatable that it's possible that India might, in principle, agree that we will take some crude oil from United States. Although I need to understand the numbers in this, because as far as I can remember, India did one very clever thing in that they asked everybody to quote the prices of crude ex the India's port. In other words, they need to figure out whether they wanted to use this carrier or that carrier, this insurance or that insurance, whatever the pricing was. So in that way, it's a level playing field for India. It's a good thing. So I yield the floor to you, sir. First thoughts on the US-India free trade agreement. Why this is so important? Over to you.
Thank you very much for letting me start the debate today. It's a rare thing. Generally follow the two my guru generals, and I get to give the finishing touches. But I guess it's going to be the other way around today. Firstly, this India-US trade agreement. India was one of the first countries to bring a trade deal on table with the US. Somewhere in, I think, February of this year. One of the first countries, and by and large, our deal was finding our way through. It was only after the possibly the action we had with Pakistan in May, and thereafter the events created a little bit of trouble, and also possibly the reason the deal was being negotiated with a businessman as a president in the US. Till now, whenever we negotiated with a politician. So this time we were negotiating with a businessman who definitely is a tough negotiator. So he was coming with his agenda, and I am very sure that he pushed his way around as far as agri and dairy issues are concerned. And that is where the deal got stuck in the month of February, March, because we are very protective in these two fields. And it is a very logical thing because India is an agrarian society, and we have a very large farmer base, and we cannot have them neglected. No politician in India can sign a deal which is not in favor of the farmer of India. So to expect our nation to go in the kind of requirements which the Americans laid out, it was never expected that it will get closed in the first go. And then, of course, those misunderstandings or whatever it was regarding the ceasefire and the agenda which the US president was running possibly aggravated it. And then he levied a universal tariff of 25% on India. That possibly was a pressure tactic to say that this is a start and I'll take it up. At times, he even threatened to take it to 100, 150%. And these are typical, hardcore negotiations done by a businessman who's looking for his best deal. So the best thing which happened with India was we had a very I will say, enriched Commerce Ministry delegation. Very patient one. They went through, I think, 4 or 5 sets of these negotiations. The last one is, I believe, still on. Some people say that it's over. Some people say the finishing touches are still on. The Commerce Minister himself has traveled to the US at least 3 times in the last 6 months. And we have stood our ground. And possibly there has been a little give and take. I have a different opinion about that plus 25%, because when you look at what President Trump said yesterday, there were two parts to his statement. One was that we are going to have a trade deal with India very soon. That was the first part. And then he said that, India has had a word with the Prime Minister and they will not buy much oil. It was a very vague kind of a statement which he said. So I guess the deal is that, we'll gradually possibly pull down some degree of purchase from the Russians, and possibly even buy some energy product from the United States. Because if you recollect during his inauguration, the first thing he said was drill, baby, drill. So he is very keen to sell American oil outside. So India is one of those large consumer of oil, and he expects India to be a major purchaser of American energy, which was not happening in the current state because the costs were not matching up. You yourself said the way Indians negotiated it. I guess we have a professional team which is working on it. And in my mind, when you look at what is coming out today, we have a broad 15% tariff to American products. I guess he may fix a figure of maybe 15 to 16%, because ultimately he possibly might want to have one upmanship. So he'll say, I have 1% higher. So we may end up with a 16% tariff on Indian products. That having said, did these tariffs have major effects? To some extent, auto industry did find a little bit of a pressure for the last 2-3 months. You see the way the auto stocks have moved in the Indian stock market. They have found pressure on them. Spare parts especially, SMEs have found the pull on them because they were the major contributors there. Pharma, which is a major chunk of our dealings with America, did not have that kind of pressure. All the pharma stocks are actually going up. And in the overall, Indian stock market has managed to hold its ground. There has been no crash. I won't even say there was a slip. We are almost, if not growing, we are parallel to where we were 6 months ago. So we have managed to tell Trump that despite your, threatened tariffs, our industry is strong enough to sustain. We have alternate sources of selling. And our free trade agreement, possibly with the Europeans, the UK, and also the Scandinavians, which is in a very large final stages of getting finalized. Must have put the, yes, sir?
FTA signed, yeah, FTA signed.
Yes, sir. So that must have put the pressure on the Americans that if they don't close a deal now, this entire market will slip away. And once the market slips away, it's very difficult to get it back. The third thing which I can lay my thoughts about is the one of the interests of the Trump administration is to balance out China's growth in the world order, because he looks at China as a major economic power. So any chipping off of China's resources will only come from enabling another nation around that same region. And the way China has negotiated the rare earth with the Americans, and they have threatened equivalent tariffs on America, I don't think US has the capacity to put that kind of pressure on China. It will be worthwhile to see how it goes, because I believe he's going to meet President Xi in the next 3 weeks. In the end of this month, I believe he's going to meet him. And thereafter, there's going to be another meeting on the sidelines of the ASEAN summit. So I guess many things will become very clear as to how China takes on, because both us and China are facing that kind of tariffs. Brazil is another country which is facing 50% plus of tariffs, and nothing much has happened with Brazil. So in one way, when I look at it, if I look at the American philosophy or American tactics, they are trying to break away the BRICS. And that possibly will, maybe in the second part when we discuss the IMEC, we can bring out more about it. But if you look at the BRICS, the glue in the BRICS is the I. The moment you remove I out of the BRICS will collapse. And this America has understood very well. Every time he's tried to wean India away. And he is worried that should BRICS end up as a counterpolar power, as far as economical order is concerned, it will create problems for the United States. So in that manner, I guess he is still trying to hope that he resuscitates whatever he has lost as far as ground with India is concerned. And I'm hopeful that by end of this month, some kind of a deal, which today has come out in the news and in the social media, that about 50, these are all still assumed figures of 15 to 16% business today is saying. I think Mint was also laying out a figure. We'll have to see the fine print as to how it comes out. I believe only a portion of this deal is going to get through in the first phase, and it's going to be still tough negotiations. But in the end, I guess India and US will have a very strong trade deal, and that aim of doubling our trade to 500 billion by 2030. If India wants to go that way, a free trade agreement is the right way forward. And US being our largest trade partner, we have to ensure that this particular deal goes through. So that is where I think I'll stop in the initial part and hand it over to General Shankar for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. General Ravi Shankar, I have some experiences of the last few months dealing with all these tariff threats. And as a person importing stuff from India, the kind of travails and trials and tribulations that we had to go through, on the one side, market pressure of wanting to deliver our product. On the other side, paperwork, customs stuck in various places, answering various questions and so on. I'll come to that in just a moment. First, your initial thoughts, sir. Do you see now a way clear for the US and India to move forward as far as the free trade agreement goes as well? See, Trump really needs a win. The Gaza thing is still floundering. The meeting with Putin has been cancelled. So he needs something this week because the debt ceiling meetings are still dragging out. Once 1st November hits, what happens is a lot of people's insurance premiums are going to get reset. It might even double. So people are going to be screaming. Who are they going to be screaming at? Democrats or Republicans is a good question. So that's all later. General Ravi Shankar, your thoughts are, and before that, viewers, we are going live on Gunnershot and P Gurus for this channel, for this hangout. And I request all of you, wherever you are watching, to like this video. And if you have not already subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe to our channel. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I think, this is a major reset. The FTA is not a big deal. Let me be very honest with it. And I go with whatever General Harimohan has said. But I look at it more geopolitically. Because the FTA was done. It was almost barring a few things. It was stopped on geopolitical reasons. So the importance was geopolitical. We should understand that very clearly. Okay. Now, let me first, there are 2-3 angles to this whole deal, the way it has gone, or it is going. The FTA is not signed, but the indications are it will get signed anytime now, or during the ASEAN meet, where Mr. Modi will go now, and the deal will be, something will be done. Once the initial part of the deal is done, then the rest will have to follow. You have a deal. You see, that's the point, is you have a deal. So there are many angles to this when this happens. First, let me talk about the 25% on oil, which is still hanging in the air. See, even if you saw the last statement of Mr. Trump, he is given an indication, look, that Russia-Ukraine war will finish. When it finishes, this has got no value. Okay. And the way I look at it, they might not be meeting in Bulgaria as they planned, but Zelensky is prepared to freeze on that line. The moment he is prepared to freeze on that line and which everyone is holding, this war will slowly go down. And it will go down the way we discussed. If you remember, Mr. Iyer, we discussed this in Chennai.
No? Yes. Yes.
You go into something like a LOC kind of a situation for both of them. And then they'll keep fighting. There's no definite end to this war. Right? So, now once that it goes down and Trump will start claiming a victory the moment something happens. The moment the victory is claimed, then there's no reason for that this Russian tariff to continue. Then it's a matter of, we might like to reduce the Russian oil, but do you have to reduce Russian oil? No. For a growing country, if your economy is going up, you need more oil. In that context, more Russian American oil is good. There's no problem. It serves everyone's purpose. Oil is not an issue. Those 25% tariffs are receding. And like both of you have said, Trump needs something in hand. He can't say, okay, I'm cutty with the whole world and I'll be sitting here. It will not happen, right? And then the point which then Harimohan said, very important. Suddenly he finds, you see, look at it. Till yesterday or day before, we were prepared to live in a world where we are not okay with the USA, not okay with China, and we made headway. He spoke of Brazil. The vice president of Brazil was here 2 days back. Next month or by January or February, the president is going to come. They are looking at a major trade upgrade with India. The moment Brazil and India start, this upgrade, then it has a lot of collateral effect both on China and USA. And USA is not a fool. Neither is China. Okay, and we've already, like what you said, we've gone through a FTA with the EU will compete, is going on at very good pace. If FTA has gone through, you got trade deals with UAE, you got trade deals with Australia. Our defense minister was there. They want an extension. So there are so many things on the pie. What comes out is today that the growth rates. You see the world economic outlook. India is, they're talking 6.8%, and the difference of 2.2, 0.3% is like rounding off error. For any other country, a difference of 2% or 0.2%, not 2%, 2.2% in a GDP swing is huge. They can't absorb it. And everyone knows that the Chinese figures are fake. Okay. So where will people go? People have to come to India. And if people have to come to India and your energy also, let's look at other indications. Microsoft says it doesn't want to be in USA. Sorry, no, in China. It's winding up in 26. That is definite. Where they'll go is we'll see. Whether they'll expand in India, whether they will expand, go to Thailand. That's the next destination we are talking of. We don't know. But definitely they'll expand in India. There's no doubt about it. I don't have doubts. Google says he wants to put up a mega plant in Visakhapatnam. There's no doubt. iPhone, you today have started producing more iPhones than China. I mean, more mobiles. Your export of mobiles in India is more than China. That shift has started, and it'll only grow further. Okay, so this FTA, whether the FTA was signed or not, the American business community are very clear that they have their destination is India. If you say H1B, even the H1B visa, there are relaxations, as I understand, right? If you have got a F1 visa, you don't have to pay that. So that means all our students going through the F1 route, don't have to get into this H1B $100,000 and all that. So there are a lot of things. So people would have realized, yeah, if these guys don't come there, then this companies will go and set up shop there. Okay, so it doesn't affect, it doesn't help USA, this H1B visa ban or whatever it is. And there's no other place where you can get such talent. Because there's a cutty between China and USA. They'll not talk. Their things are beyond that. So I think this FTA India thing is all fine. But let me put it in a different context. Look at it this way. Where are we now with India-USA? That's the relationship. So far, if you read Foreign Affairs, New York Times, all of them were talking, oh, why should we give technology to India? Why should we do all this for India if India does nothing for us? Right? What's the use of having India as a partner? It's an elected autocracy. These are the things. The chap who's been arrested, who's that Ashley Tellis. What you see the articles he's been writing off late, right? Is a power with delusions. Well, you had to deal with this power which is deluded. Either you're deluded or I'm deluded. I'm not deluded, so you have to be deluded not to deal with me. That's what is coming out, isn't it? So they have to deal. There's no other choice. They don't have a choice. So what have you done? A lot of people in America felt that dealing it, India was doing India a favor. That's gone. Now you're 50-50. It's a give and take. You might give, you might take. You might take some corn. You might give something. That's a minor thing. That is trade. But the major thing is you are now dealing with America on a one-to-one basis. भैया तुम ये दो हम वो खरीदेंगे and vice versa. You fought with me for 9 months. Okay, you are no more giving me anything free. I'm not. I don't want anything free from you. At the same time, don't expect anything free from me. I will take the flesh. If it is mutually beneficial, we go ahead. Otherwise, forget it. You have created space elsewhere, and that space elsewhere will now. So, in effect, you created that space elsewhere, and you're getting back to USA, which means your economy will only grow stronger. Understand this. It has to grow stronger. Okay. So this is the trade and India, America, geopolitics and all that. Do I expect the Indo-Pacific thing to come back? It'll not. It'll come back, but we've lost that trust. That strategic trust has lost. Now it's up to America to regain it. Will America regain it? They have no choice. That's what the IMEC is all about. We'll come to that. But there are a couple of other indications. If this deal goes through, that guy sitting in Beijing, he'll have bad dreams. Understand the repercussions there. No, he doesn't have a deal with you, nothing. Suddenly he says, "Yeah, if," and everyone knows, even today in an article in Guancha, I read that the only country which can match China on scale, pace, both is India. And if China loses out on America, they are in trouble. Okay, and their economy has supposedly grown by 4.7% or 4.8% in the last quarter. But everyone is crying, matam hai udhar. Prices are still going down. Deflation hai udhar. How can an economy be in deflation, prices be in deflation, and your economy goes up, your GDP goes up? That's a Chinese puzzle. Let it be there. So, but he knows internally what's his problem, isn't it? Also, we should know that look, tomorrow third plenum or fourth plenum will end.
Fourth plenary, yeah.
Fourth plenum will end. Now, so far, there's not a single pipsqueak word out of China. Look at the thing. You have to look. You have to offset this FTA against other events. Not a pipsqueak coming out. We don't know what's happening there. Okay, we don't know whether there's a tussle between the military and this. We'll talk about that tomorrow, day after. But the fact is, nothing is coming out. Nothing is coming out, which means there's no decision taken. And this plenary was important for China to set their next 5-year plan. Whether it's because of economics or whether it's because of military, whether it's because of Xi Jinping's successor, all that. This plenary was about economic reforms and next 5-year plan. If China is not discussing that plan is flawed. Or it's politically, there will be compromises on that plan. Which means that China will not go ahead. As simple as that. I mean, QED, silence conveys a lot of meaning. That's what that great song, Sounds of Silence, if you remember. Right? Hello, darkness, my friend type, So there's a sounds of silence coming out of China. And that to me is loud and clear. Then look at this FTA when it goes through. What's the message to Pakistan? Pakistan, till yesterday, they were jumping that, we are nowhere, we are out of America, ye, wo, and all that. Suddenly, they'll say, yaar, ye kya ho gaya? वो तो अमेरिका वाला तो दिवाली जला रहा है. वो आज ट्विटर में जाके आप देखिए तो there's one tweet which I just saw. That President Trump is the only head of state, including India, who has lit a Diwali lamp in his office. They say even Modi has not done that. I mean, I'm not saying whether it is good, bad, or ugly, but that's the message coming out. Okay, that's the message coming out with all the with the Indian ambassador and all Indians around him. He lights a diya. and says thank you Deepavali. He says happy Deepavali. He doesn't go and do namaz, no, when Pakistan ka day hai. पाकिस्तान में क्या करते हैं पाकिस्तान डे में वो तो नमाज ही करते हैं और कुछ करते नहीं है. He doesn't do that. He will not do that. Now Pakistan has to think, and now right, and we have to lay terms now, and it will come. Okay, and of course, so all these issues are there. There's a view in India which says, which say 2-3 days back also when I was discussing with people, India has been kept out of the West Asian issue. We've been kept out of this Gaza talk. We don't have a leg to stand on. We don't have this. We don't have that, and all that. I mean, I was very clear that we were keeping our powder dry and we were not jumping into it, and we have reserved ourselves from this whole story to get in at the right time. Has the right time come? I think so. So I have a thing. I mean, I have not looked at this FTA from the FTA point of view, whether you buy 4 bushels of coin or we sell some, trinkets to them from Surat. That is minor. That will happen. Right? Where if a few traders who are dependent on, only on USA have to pack up, so be it. This is not a welfare society at the end of the day. The traders will find their way. But the more important thing is, how does India-US relationship today, it's changed. It's gone to a different pedestal. Everyone today says, look, and you see the number of people in USA who have come out and said, where are we going without India? We can't go anywhere. Whether it's an ambassador or a thinker or Farid Zakaria or Nicholas Burns or Tom Bolton. I mean, I can keep talking the number of people, including from Republican Party. That lady who was his opponent. No, I'm forgetting her name.
Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley. Yeah. So they've all come out in support of India. They said, look, we can't go anywhere without India. Can't go. I mean, if you dump India, you are in trouble with China. Okay. So, last bit about rare earths. If China has to be countered on rare earths, USA can't do it without India. I'm prepared to discuss this separately once on a separate podcast because it demands a podcast of that thing. Okay. Rare earths is not a matter of earth-shaking consequences financially. It is a matter of control. The amount of rare earths are small. The amount of trade in rare earths is very small. Right? It is just that China has outstripped everyone in terms of price. But the overall quantity is low and the total capacity or output is low, very low. It's not even $5 billion globally. So there are already, Australia and USA have started dealing with each other. So yesterday only Albanese signed a deal on rare earths. And my firm view, the COD is the solution for the rare earths. Japan and USA and Australia have the technology. You have the resources. And your resources or Chinese resources are not in China. They're in Myanmar. I've been talking about this, right? So we can talk about this separately. So again, you need India in that. Without India, you can go nowhere. So this is the thing. Okay, we can talk of other things. Back to you.
Thank you so much, sir. I want to just recall last couple of months interesting experiences that we as Indian Americans have been facing in the United States. First of all, viewers, pharma is in short supply. Many people who are taking regular medication, they used to be able to get 3 months supply at one shot. So they would go back to the pharma and say, okay, I need a refill. Now, those 3 months have been shrunk to 1 month. Just think about it. You have to get it every month. It means you have to remember to make that order. And why is that happening? There is shortage. Why is there shortage? Nobody has explained this. This is now year now. I'm not even talking about the current Trump administration. There has been a problem sourcing pharma at affordable prices for American customers. Number one. Second thing, recently we tried to get a shipment out of India. It was sitting in customs for 20 days, 20. One paperwork pretext or the other. On top of that, finally when it clears, gets a slam notice saying that you need to pay about $125+ advanced customs clearing fee, otherwise we will not be able to deliver it. And the delivery van, put this thing on their truck only after making sure that the money was paid up front. So lots of pinpricks, a lot of frustration for our customers who are waiting patiently for their product. At the end of it now, I'm hoping that it's kind of going to calm down. Many Indian grocers were actually stocking 6 months worth of supplies before all this hullabaloo started. And I think that's going to ride out much of the price rises for the groceries as far as Indian markets go. So there is some good news there. Hopefully this is going to continue going in the forward direction. Now I'd invite General Harimohan Iyer to talk about the IMEC corridor. Sir, let's just set the context by showing you a map of the IMEC corridor as it stands now, and then I'll yield the floor to you. Can we have the map, please? Okay, so this is the IMEC corridor, because it was so long ago that most of us probably have forgotten about it. So the critical points are Jabal Ali in UAE, Harad in Saudi Arabia, Al Gufayat in UAE, Riyadh, and somewhere there is Haifa also. Yes, there is Haifa, and then it goes to Greece. So this is the route of IMEC, and over to you, General Harimohan Iyer. Request you to do it for like 5 minutes, sir. 5 minutes for you, 5 minutes for General Ravi Shankar, and then we can take questions. Over to you.
Okay, thank you. When I look at the IMEC, I look at it as the US response to the Belt and Road Initiative of the Chinese. If you look at the BRI, it actually runs along the land route through Iran, Afghanistan, and towards Turkey, and then gets into the European corridor. So when you look at this as an alternate route, and this is a route which is much more stable. So this was a decision taken during the G20 summit in India a couple of years back, and it came out on the last day of that particular event as a surprise to many of us who were following the event. And the moot point here was that it was the time when Saudi Arabia and the UAE both recognized Israel, despite having differences in the political content over there. Because all these three players are major players as far as the stability of IMEC is concerned. And until and unless that happens, IMEC is not a success. And to that extent, the war in Gaza was a thorn as far as IMEC is concerned. And the second issue which bothers me with IMEC, and this is basically a personality-based one, when I look at the current administration, the one thing it is doing without any remorse is, changing decisions taken by the previous administration. And if you look at any of Trump's briefing, every time he curses Biden and his decisions, and he says whatever is happening today is because of those decisions which Biden took. In that context, when I look at IMEC, which was a major decision taken by President Biden during the G20, I guess that's where I'm a little concerned with how Trump is going to take this forward. That Trump has invested so much in the Middle East peace plan, he would like to play it as his success story, as his glowing light, by ensuring that this particular corridor opens. And once this corridor opens to the Europe, the destination to the US is just the crossing of the Atlantic. So India's goods, or India becomes, in my mind, a hub, a transit hub for resources and logistics which are required both by the Europeans and the Americans for their trade and their processes. So in that count, IMEC is going to be a huge game changer as far as both the Western world and especially Europe and America is concerned. Will Trump hold on to it? Is a question mark. Whenever I read, wherever I read, I hardly see Trump talk about IMEC, talk about its values. And I am a little worried that he may like to try and do something to it to put his own signature to it. The second issue which worries me is it is running through troubled corridors, because you have Pakistan, you have Iran. The Kuwait-Iraq area is still not fully secure. Of course, it runs through the land areas of Saudi Arabia and runs into Israel. Once the alternate canal, the alternate to the Suez Canal comes up, it will become a much more stable route to get out. But till that time, it is still. I look at it as another, dream which is far away. It will take its own time. I don't see it coming up in a big way all at once. It may come in bits and parts. Maybe some infrastructure may come up in these ports, which are already in somewhat manner already there. The land route within Saudi Arabia is already existing, may require a little bit of upgradation. And of course, the parallel canal to the Suez has to be created in Israel, which will be the game changer as far as IMEC is concerned. Simultaneously, when I look at BRI, when you compare IMEC with BRI today, by and large, has become cold. Even the CPEC has become a non-starter, because if one can realize, China is pulling out of many of these CPEC programs. Last time we discussed about American presence in Pakistan and what will happen thereafter with 3 ports manned by 3 different agencies in the same area. And unfortunately, IMEC is passing through that area. So how it will affect IMEC? These are areas that we have to study in the days to come. But with the free trade agreement, both with the European Union and the Americans, if it happens, then the next thing which has to make this free trade agreement beneficial will be the IMEC. Because until and unless trade flows without any hitch between the sourcer and the sourcee, the trade doesn't have any value. So to that extent, I see both these trade agreements, the American one and the European one, the start point of the IMEC. I also look at the way Saudi Arabia deals with Israel post the Gaza conflict. I also look at the way UAE plays up in the area in the times to come, because these are people who have changed their stances at times, but they play with the Americans. To that extent, I expect as long as the US is on board with IMEC will be a success. But for India, it is a very, very important element if we want to look towards a huge jump in our economy, and we will be interested in ensuring that the IMEC goes through. I'll leave it to General Shankar from.
Thank you so much, sir. General Shankar.
Yeah, look, the IMEC is going to be very important for everyone. I go back to the time when the first meeting between Trump and Mr. Modi, when he went. The IMEC figured quite a bit. He said, "I'm looking at a corridor going all through and all that." Now, you got to look at it from a couple of different points of view. I don't know whether the alternative Suez Canal will ever come through. I don't know. I don't think it will.
It goes through Gaza.
It's got its own problems. So it's a long-term problem. Okay. But IMEC is not so long-term. You see, this route, India, Bombay to Jebel Ali, it's a normal trade route. Then it goes on land, goes to Riyadh, cuts through Jordan, and then goes to Haifa and goes off to Piraeus. Now, the thing with this IMEC is it is in everybody's interest. Everybody is interested in this IMEC because everyone can move their goods. You see, when you compare the BRI with the IMEC, what is it? The BRI is a one-to-one thing between China and another country. And it is largely from China to that other country, and it is sucking away the other country. That's the nature of BRI. It's pumping in some poison from China, from China, and it is sucking away that other country's nectar. That's how BRI is configured. In this, you have UAE, you have Saudis, you have India, you have Jordan, you have Israel, Greece, and all European countries across as it goes. So everyone has a stake in this. So I don't see this failing anymore. The block to this was this Gaza story. Let us see how the Gaza story. Look, that's a different story. Whether Gaza will go through problem and all that. Hopefully, it should go. Let's be optimistic. I mean, Gaza problem might not be solved, but the problem which Gaza poses to IMEC might be solved. that Haifa will start opening up. The moment Haifa opens up, you're already gone through, you'll go to Piraeus. People are ready. Greece is ready. That is why India has already upped its equation with Greece. Right? And then if you see, Italy is very keen because Italy is the alternate to Piraeus next door. Italy says, come, I will give you space for IMEC. Right? So Europe, Italy, Greece are on the board means Europe is on board. Okay, the moment that happens, the whole story changes completely. Right? And then of course, if this starts happening, it will start going up and down. What is the main thing which will go through this? Energy, oil. I mean, oil has to go from where? India. The thing is, oil from India has to go into Europe as it is going today in a fail-safe manner. Can I get the map back? I want to explain a few things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you see what's the safety aspect of IMEC, it avoids the Red Sea route. Houthis are out of the equation. Houthis so far are not quiet. If you go full steam into Red Sea, there'll be a problem. Okay. On the north, you had a problem with Iran, you had a problem with Iraq, you had a problem with Syria. It was a complete Shia crescent. And on top of that is Turkey. Turkey has its own squeeze on this. Now you avoided all that. See, we should understand that Syria is not at safe for any such activity, nor is Turkey. Turkey has its own angles, nor is Iran. Now you've avoided both, and you're going through interested places. That's what the importance of IMEC is, that all these countries are countries which have a stake in the success of IMEC. The agencies and the dangers to IMEC are kept away. Turkey is very pissed off because of this. Okay, now let's get to India. India has already made its move. A lot of people say, oh, IMEC has gone cold and all that. I don't agree with it. The IMEC is ready to a large extent between UAE, Saudi and India. Now it's only a matter of crossing Jordan, getting into Piraeus and getting there. And already you have made your move to go to Piraeus by increasing your links with Greece, and you already started bottling Turkey up. You have started doing naval exercises there. You done a naval exercise between the Greek navy and our navy. INS Trikand went. Okay, so you made a presence there. You already started dealing with Morocco. Morocco, if you see, this not on the map, it comes a little to the south. Okay, so you started increasing your trade links with Morocco. Okay, of course, you have a lot of things to get from Morocco. That's a different story. So you have already started playing there. It's now a matter of, okay, get the Italians on board there, Greek. I think the next step will be Italy, Greece, and India will start doing some naval exercises and domination and all that in that belt. And then you will see this taking off. Yeah. Where is Morocco? Yeah, Morocco, of course, it dominates. Yeah. The Gibraltar, the port of Gibraltar. So you got port of Gibraltar, the African part. You started talking to Morocco. So overall, if you see, the Mediterranean line is also clear and everything else is clear. The only thing which is there is, people in Gaza and that problem in Gaza. And the fact which General Harimohan said that, look, Pakistan can play a dirty hand along the IMEC. Okay, let's look at the Pakistani hand. What will Pakistan do? Let's say, take a case where Pakistan gives troops for Gaza. That's a question mark. Why now it's a question mark? Because the moment Pakistan was told to give troops to Gaza, the TLP chaps stood up and there was a racket out there. There's been a bloodbath in Murid K, and people are not happy. And now I don't think Pakistan is in a position to send troops to Gaza. If they send, they have problems at home. They'll slip out of it. Okay. And in any case, the Israelis would have never accepted Pakistanis.
The Israelis are also not accepting Turkey.
No, they will not. those are other things. We'll not get into that. But having said that, if Pakistan doesn't send troops there, and Pakistan has problems sending troops to against Houthis, then Saudis will not bother about them. Then why will Trump give money to them? See, then they'll say to hell with you, yeah. So now, as fast as he has flipped from India, he'll flip from Pakistan also. If he gets nothing from Pakistan, he'll flip from Pakistan. See, that is what the FTA does. Now the linkage between the FTA and IMEC comes here. Okay. In any case, we are strategic partners with UAE and Saudi Arabia and Israel. Comprehensive strategic partners. They are also interested in investing into you. And this IMEC, unlike the Chinese BRI, is one way. This is two way. It is multi-way for everyone. Okay, and next, we also need to realize that the Chinese have militarily been shut here. There's no Chinese presence. Russian presence also very little. The Russians are trying to get their foothold into Syria, with their loss completely. So, and it's now completely dominated by US. Yeah, I agree with Hari when he says how Trump will behave towards IMEC is the question mark. But if I go back to the SPAT days, then he's all for it. And plus, he will be all for it because he has to offset, like you said, somewhere he has to seek a win. A win. Look at it from the American point of view. America has, good, bad, or ugly, has closed a deal in Gaza. Think of it. Whether the Gaza deal is good or not, it doesn't matter America. It matters Gaza and Israel. Right, but the hostages have been exchanged. There's some talk. The thing is looking inward. They talk of Hamas being, their weapon is being taken away, all that. But whether it happens or not, now it is now focus Gaza. It's not focus all over the countryside. You look at the security point of view, all these Hamas, Houthis, and all these fellows are out. Iran is now defanged. Okay. Turkey is told you keep quiet. You can making shouting about Gaza and all, but nothing more. So the security situation has improved. Trump has already started claiming, okay, credit for it. Now he'll say, I've done a FTA with India. Then he'll say, I've started a corridor. Look at the linkages which are going to happen. Then that's the way he'll win Europe back. After all, for Europe, what is it in it for Europe? Okay. And in this bargain, if he kinds of tones down Russia-Ukraine war to some solution, that solution might be the worst solution. Okay. Like I said, it could be the worst solution possible. But if that is toned down and Russia starts trading with Europe like before, and the sanctions are removed on Russia, the link between Russia and China also get toned down. See, it's just not IMEC. IMEC is one part of a jigsaw puzzle. And why come to the last thing before we take questions and all? I said this on day one when Trump took over as the president. I didn't think Trump's focus is China. He is playing complete madman game with them. Unpredictability is the name of the game. One day he says 20% tariff, the other day he says 120%, third day he says 2,200%. No one in China knows what is there in Trump's mind. So China, for the past 9 months, has been catering for the worst case option. When a country, I'm sure Hari will understand and agree with me, that when you cater for the worst case option, right, that's the most costly option for a country. Right? Your expenditure on that is the worst. And that has been hitting China with no outcomes. One day he's okay. Now this Pakistani fellow is flying high. But suddenly you look at China. He's the US chap. He's not put his foot down there. But he's got Pakistan on his side. He's now not clear about Pakistan. Everything China is in a fix. Trump has changed the tables. Panama, he's close to China. What's happening in Panama? If I go back, that's one full session. Okay, he's shut out. Whether he takes over Greenland or not is a different story. But he shut China out of there. China is kicked out from there. Okay. Now China has to depend on Russia to open that North Sea route. Not see that Arctic route.
Arctic, yeah.
Yeah, right. That North Pole route. So where does it leave China? And he's opening something towards Central Asia. So that means China, instead of being confronted where it is strongest on the coast, Taiwan and all, this fellow says, I'll go sit behind your back. Where you're most vulnerable. Tibet and Xinjiang. Don't be surprised if tomorrow something on Tibet starts. If not tomorrow, to 5-6 months. Because Tibet and Xinjiang remain the Achilles heel of China. Okay. The strength of China was Pakistan, CPEC and all that. That's become his weakness now. So I think Mr. Trump is playing a game which is much beyond any of us get it. I was very clear from the beginning that it is against China. I was a little surprised what he did with India. Of course, he thought he will, do something else, but he's failed there. But he's also had the capability, flexibility to reconcile to the fact and say, okay, I can't do this. Let me do this. So you will see that IMEC becomes a strong case for a flip against China and Pakistan. So I see a lot of things happening further. In fact, in days to come, our stories have to be more interesting to talk of. We have not spoken of Russia, Ukraine, we have not spoken of things, and we have not spoken of what's going to happen in Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia also, he's got a foot out there, but we'll talk as events unfold. So I'm very hopeful about the IMEC, right? I think in the next 3-4 months, we will have to discuss actually how things are going to move ahead. Of course, it's contingent on a lot of things can go wrong, but I see some case for optimism. Back to you, Shri Ayerji.
Thank you so much, sir. We have a lot of questions, and I'd like to start the questions going now. Let's start with General Harimohan Iyer. First question, please. Sajid Kumar, thank you so much. General Shankar, your program on BrahMos 800 was good. Being a critical patriot, I wanted to know why China has nothing like BrahMos, or do they? Can Pak strike us if the USA gave them tomahawks? Let's start with General Ravi Shankar, and then I'll come to you, General.
This is, sort of, please understand, Tomahawk is a subsonic cruise missile. Okay? And Tomahawk will not be given to Pakistan. Tomahawk will be given to Pakistan only under one condition: free of cost on a target. Okay? And incidentally, this has been done before. Huh? If you remember, Clinton, fired tomahawks against.
Some landed in Pakistan.
Yeah, some landed in Pakistan by not, by design shown as default. So Pakistan can get tomahawks only under that condition. Okay, the way I look at it, tomahawk is still the ultimate cruise missile. For those of you who don't know, the Chinese buffoons might say what they want. They don't have anything to match Tomahawk. In fact, the world doesn't have anything to match Tomahawk. Terrain contour matching is not funny, and they've done it. Okay. It's subsonic. Whereas BrahMos is a supersonic system. It's a highly supersonic system. It borders on being hypersonic. Okay. Why China has nothing like BrahMos? Because when the BrahMos was being designed, and now this is my home ground. When the BrahMos was being designed, there was a lot of criticism all over the world and within India. Why are you going for a supersonic cruise missile? This is the only cruise missile which is supersonic. You're stupid. You guys don't know what you're doing. You don't know your technology. You are buying something from the Russians because they're giving it to you. Okay. We told a lot of people, including our own army. Let me tell you now, lot of people within the army were against BrahMos. Supersonic cruise missile, you're bloody idiots here. This is what people told me. People told me. I mean, Hari won't know about it. At that time, I was a brigadier and I was answering questions on this. This is in the formative stages. Okay. And, today it is gold. So you don't make gold overnight. It takes time. It takes time to get to this. I mean, I must tell you also, I'm taking a little time because this is an important question, which, the number of tests which we have done with BrahMos and the number of failures we've had is not funny. Even the Russians were surprised on this. We never thought this development will be so difficult because it's a supersonic missile. And the number of times I've gone to Andaman Nicobar to have fired these missiles and they've been going into ocean. And every time I used to come back from there, people used to say, hey, you added 30 crores to the kitty. Negative. But all that has come in useful now. We just fired 13 of them. And Pakistan is down on its knees. 13 or 15. What, 60 crores between India and Pakistan? Right, to hammer them. So that has come in useful now. That parishram of 15 years, 20 years, who's put it? The people have not thought of it. Today, suddenly people want a hypersonic cruise missile. It will not come. There's no hypersonic cruise missile. There's only this supersonic cruise missile. BrahMos is the fastest cruise missile in the world. So don't worry. We can continue to give, BrahMos to Pakistan. All they have to tell us where we should send it. Which airfield they want, we'll give it to them free of cost. उसमें क्या है?
Gen Harimohan Iyer. Gen Harimohan Iyer would like to add to that.
No, the point which Gen Shankar mentioned, and only question which people used to ask about BrahMos is, that speed, can you actually navigate it? Because a cruise missile is supposed to fly low. It is supposed to go along the terrain, like he said, terrain matching, and it's supposed to navigate its way through. So I still recollect the first time when we went to Andaman, General Shankar was flying on a Dornier, and he was, on a telephone call from the Dornier, and we were sitting in the ops room trying to convey to him from this side. It was a very difficult test which we did, and if you look at it, we were flying on the Andaman Sea. On the other side was Phuket. If the missile had turned left, it would have landed up in some tourist area. So it was a difficult test which was done, and after that we have never looked back. In fact, we've been firing every year, and it has been successful. And this BrahMos 800 was nothing just come out of nowhere. It was there even much earlier. Because of the MTCR and those kind of problems, we were not able to exploit its full capacities, and it is now available with us. And I don't think anybody can design this kind of a missile. They will design a hypersonic missile, definitely, but it will not be a cruise missile. So it will have its ballistic trajectory and it will get taken out somewhere. The biggest problem with BrahMos is before the radar can find out, it lands on the target. That's how Pakistani got surprised.
Look, I mean, people don't understand. You know how much time it took for a missile to hit Sargodha? 3 minutes. In 3 minutes, you can't even unzip your pants here.
Yes, before we go to the next question, one of the things that I'm really happy and proud about is our friendship, my friendship with General Ravi Shankar from 3-4 years ago, at the beginnings of our relationship, when we were still at 200,000 probably subscribers and Gunner Shot was still not born. and two episodes that still stand out in my memory: his presentation on Brahmaputra and his presentation on BrahMos. And this is 3 years ago. Okay, you go back and watch it. We were younger too at that point of time. But look at the amount of coverage that General Ravishankar did in that talk. I mean, it gives me goosebumps to understand that we were at the threshold of history, that we were predicting all these things, and then finally it all comes out to be true. It's a matter of great pride. It's a matter of great pride that, the thing that I'm amazed with the good generals, whether it is Raj Shukla ji, Harimohan ji, General Ravi Shankar, or Rajiv Narayanan ji, or General Dushyant Singh, is they were busy when they were in their career. They're busier now. They're working with so many different entities. I am like, oh my God, where do you find the energy? So I tip my hat to all of you gentlemen. Let's go to the next question, please. Maithili wants to know, Sriji, will the FTA be traded in rupees? Sir, Harimanji.
I was about to bring this rupee angle when I was initially covering the FTA, and I would like to say this, that the way we have encouraged many nations to trade with us in rupees, especially Saudi Arabia. Now we are trying to get our oil in rupees. So if you get the dollar into question, you are putting indirect pressure on the person who's sitting printing dollars. So I don't think the FTA will ever happen in rupee, because the trade is still favoring the Americans, because they are the ones who are buying more. So the trade will happen in dollars. But as the economy of India grows, and I look at it, let's say 15, 20 years from now, fair amount of Indian trade will shift from dollars to rupee. And this is something which possibly will take us to that dream of Viksit Bharat of 2047. And next 20 years are actually going to be years to watch for as far as India's growth is concerned.
Maithili ji, leave US. To buy something from China, India needs to plunk in dollars. An Indian company will have to figure out a way to get it in dollars. And those dollars will be deposited in a Hong Kong bank. And then something magic happens from Hong Kong HKD, it gets into yuan, and then it goes into mainland China. The product gets manufactured, it gets built ex Hong Kong, and then it comes back to you. So dollars are very, very integral in our lifestyle. So I would always caution people, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. However, there will be this little bit here and there that's going to be happening all the time. Next question, please. Karthik Mugar wants to know, thank you so much for becoming YouTube member. Next one, please. Thank you, R.K. Rao. R.K. Rao wants to know, this is for General Ravishankar, can India trust after all the hostilities from US? Is it not that US is trying to be with India to move the economic needle towards them?
Look, let's be very clear. We should not trust USA. The trust factor is gone. Just because you signed a FTA, even you can't trust that FTA also. How do you know tomorrow Trump will not do anything else? He'll tear up that FTA. Okay. So trust is gone. Let's not talk of trust. Like I said, we have to rebuild this relationship. We don't have a strategic relationship. We don't have that. I've already clarified. That's gone. Trust is gone. Use restart. This is like a restart. Ek divorce ho gaya. Now let's see whether we can remarry or cohabit. Forget about thing. Okay, so we will have to restart the whole story. Okay, trying to be with India to move the economic needle and all. Yeah, why should they are trying to move the economic needle towards them? And like I told you today, we are also trying to do the same thing. If you are prepared to deal with China, you should continue to deal with USA. Why not? You deal with anyone. You are dealing with on equal terms. It's okay. Yeah.
Next question for General Harimohan Iyer. Akash Tadani wants to know, the present American economy, GDP and growth is based off of the Ponzi scheme being run by the big tech in AI. It would get bigger with QC. I don't know what QC is. Is this AI bubble approaching end of cycle?
There are many people who are saying AI bubble is approaching end of cycle. I don't agree with it. AI is going to be here. And yes, we'll have to see how AI is managed in the coming years. GDP growth has got multiple facets. AI is just one side of the story. Economy doesn't run just on digital money or digital footprint. Digital footprint is one part of the economy. To that extent, I say that big tech will be a major player in the growth of industry in the future, and AI has a role. AI is here to stay. I am looking at AI growing, and that is a little more disconcerting to say how AI is going to affect a large number of jobs. But the best part of the human mind is when computers came, what, 3-4 decades ago, people thought that the human angle will go away. But humans found ways to make computer work for themselves. I guess the next generation is going to find ways to make AI work for themselves. So AI is going to become a tool, much like this PCs became a tool 4 generations or 4 decades ago. But it will be a major player in the growth as far as I'm concerned.
Next question, Kunal Nagarkoti wants to know, USA is spreading a fake news on India accepting USA agriculture demand. Did India compromise because agriculture and dairy is red line for India? Is it true? General Ravishankar.
We don't know. We don't know the actual facts. Let the deal be signed. We'll come to know what the thing is. And in any case, there's no compromise. The way I look at it, there will be some give and take. So if you want to gain something, it can't be like what Mr. Piyush Goyal said. He said it. He said it can't be that you want everything from that guy and you don't give him anything. Right? You can't be protectionist in your own story. So these things will happen. I don't think it's a major issue.
Next one, Milban Cherian wants to know, is there a chance for corruption to happen in the oil and gas deals, which makes prices go up? Total clueless. General Harimohan Iyer.
Actually, I find oil is one commodity which gets traded much highly in future trades. So corruption in terms of some amount of positioning in terms of pricing does happen, and by and large the oil producing companies have a very good mechanism to keep the oil prices under check. But the best part that has happened is despite a pandemic, despite almost two, in fact I will say three, because India-China standoff is still on and people should know that. And it has been the 4th year that we are still in a standoff situation with China. The Russia-Ukraine war is active. The Gaza is still smoldering. The Pakistan-Afghanistan, there's something happening. In Myanmar, something is happening. In Venezuela, something is happening. So if you look at and you put it all together, it is as good as the World War a century ago. So to that extent, despite all this is happening, the oil price is hovering around $65, $66. To say that corruption will happen to oil and gas trade is very difficult because the mechanisms and checks and balances are all there. I feel if somebody has vested interest and is able to spin it to his benefits, oil prices will go up. Please go back and see what happened during Desert Storm, when suddenly the price of oil jumped from $29 to about $60. And since then, it has never come to that $29 mark ever. So to that extent, you never know how things are going to play up in the world. But the good thing that has happened is, and that is why India has been telling the Americans that it is on their behest that we were buying Russian oil. If India had not bought Russian oil and Russia had not had an outlet to the oil prices would have spiked worldwide.
Thank you, sir. Next question, Anirban Ghosh wants to know, since Trump understands money, India should contribute a suitably large amount to Gaza instead of contributing troops and secure Chabahar port and IMEC and other projects in the long run. General Ravishankar.
Why should I give money to Gaza?
They are very rich.
They're rich. We're not interested in giving anything. Yeah, we should secure Chabahar port. We'll deal with it. And we'll deal with IMEC. It's a business deal. Everything is a business deal. So why should there no? What do I get out of giving money to Gaza? Yeah.
And India will never send troops on anything which is not under Chapter 6 of the United Nations, which is peacekeeping and not peace enforcement. So wherever there is a peacekeeping job, we'll go.
Even Chapter 7.
Chapter 7 will not go. We are there in the Lebanon border for the last 4 decades. We are one of the first troop contributing nations there. But we wear blue helmets and we work under Chapter 6 of the United Nations. If Chapter 6 is invoked in Gaza, who knows? We'll send our troops there also.
Yeah, why not?
Anil Menon wants to know, sir, this is for you, General Harimohan. Is it true that Trump is mad at Modi because he supplied arms to Russia?
I don't think Modi supplied arms to Russia. Of course, to that extent, yes. In a world where market is free, if somebody wants to come and buy ammunition from India, which is something which is available, of course it will be sold. And as long as the nation is not inimical to us, we will sell. Similarly, when India was in the need of ammunition post the Uri incident, we went to Russia, we went all over the world and bought ammunition from wherever it was available. To that extent, arms and ammunition will be sold. The only thing which a nation will keep in mind is the nation to which you are selling is not part of a consortium which is inimical to you, so that your arms don't get used against you. Apart from that, I think that's how the defense exports have gone up over the last 2 years.
Thank you so much. A last question for General Ravishankar. Ameya Rupal wants to know, seems like the route to Al-Guwaifat will be a future bottleneck if Iran causes trouble in the Straits of Hormuz. Why not start somewhere in Oman, which is far nearer?
These.
There's a problem. I mean, that is an option. Instead of Jabal Ali, you might like to go through Duqm, where we are developing that port. India has got a lot of interest in Duqm. So it's a alternative. There's no doubt about it. But the thing that Iran will, interfere is difficult to imagine, because if Iran interferes in the south, in Strait of Hormuz, so these people can close the Strait of Hormuz to the north, in which case Iran will lose. See, it's a mutual interest for everyone to keep the Strait of Hormuz open. No one. It didn't close during the Iran-Israel war. So, yeah.
One interesting thing about Iran, just overall thing, it's a much misunderstood country because many of us look at Iran through the Western lens. Don't do that. This is the land of Sita. No, not Sita. What's it? Kaikeyi. This is the land of Kaikeyi. They have as rich a civilization as we do. Zoroastrianism, Zarathustra. Who is Zarathustra? Go back and watch my video on Shukracharya. By the way, some mention was made about artificial intelligence. It is growing by leaps and bounds. P Gurus and Sri Iyer, we are completely committed to riding this wave. We are perhaps the tip of the spear in using AI tools. And you are seeing that. You don't realize it perhaps, but you're seeing that when we put out our content. So look out for some brilliant content coming your way in the near future. And this is the last question we had. Thank you so much, General Ravi Shankar, General Harimohan Iyer. We'll be back next Monday, because this one was supposed to have taken place on Monday. We're back now today on Wednesday. We're back next Monday. Same group. Hopefully, General Raj Shukla also can join us then. And tomorrow, very important topic about China. And I'm going to leave all of you with one thought. Do you know how many pounds of rare earth metals goes into making a one F-35? 920 pounds. 920 pounds. This is just one F-35 aircraft. So I leave leave you with that thought. Join us in a few minutes with Shekhar Ayerji in our Hindi channel as we talk about Indian politics. Thank you so much once again, gentlemen. Namaskar.
Namaskar.